Welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. My dear learners, let us discuss Unit 16, which talks about phenomenology and ethno-methodology, which both are considered as the micro-theoretical perspectives in sociology. So, as you know the word phenomenology from the word phenomenon. So, phenomenology is a kind of a methodology which was given by the philosopher and the research initiated in 1990 by the mathematician Edmund Husserl. So, literally phenomenology is the study of phenomena, appearance of things or things as they appear in our experience or the way we experience things. For example, many of us, if they see a rope in darkness, they may experience it as if a snake is there. So, all of us might not be thinking a similar way, but how are we experiencing our things? So, similarly, how we understand things in society, how we experience things in society, that is very important in sociological understanding. So, phenomenology studies different kinds of experiences from the subjective perspective or the first person point of view. When you talk about ethnomethodology, it is a partial offshoot of the phenomenological sociology with deep roots in classical social theory and also sociolinguistics. It is the descriptive study, ethnomethodology. It is a descriptive study of the reporting and the accounting practices, especially in terms of the methods through which social actors, that is you and me. Social actors means every individual in a society who is performing a social act. Okay. So, social actors come to give meaning and rationality to their own and the others' behavior. Now, talking about phenomenology, how phenomenology helps us to understand the world. So, it examines how human consciousness and our subjective meanings shape social reality. It views society not as an objective entity, but as a human construction created through our everyday interactions. It is developed from the philosophical ideas, as I suggested, by Edmund Husserl, and it is applied to sociology by Alfred Schutz. It focuses on how individuals interpret experiences and create shared meanings in daily life. The central concern of phenomenology is how people construct, how they sustain and understand the social reality. When we try to understand about Alfred Schutz, he integrated phenomenology with sociology and he provided a philosophical foundation for interpretative sociology. So, he introduced the concept called as life world, which he also said Lebenswelt, the taken for granted world of everyday experiences, routine and interactions. He argued that social reality emerges from the individual social interpretation and shared understanding. Everyday knowledge and common sense assumptions guide our human action and social interaction, and the life world is both inherited from our previous generations and continuously recreated through our understanding in our day-to-day human activities and human action. So, what is the stock of knowledge and typification connected with it? So, individuals rely on a kind of a stock of knowledge. For example, when I am talking to you, I have certain knowledge base. When you are listening to me, you have certain knowledge base, which is our stock of knowledge, which is accumulated with the process of socialization and our life experiences. People use typification or classifying persons, events and situation into familiar categories to understand the social world. It also functions as recipes, typification. It also functions as recipes or practical guides for our everyday behavior, because everyday behavior, it has to be based on certain our previous experience, certain of our own categorization. So, language, cultural norms, labels, traditions help individuals to navigate social situations efficiently. Moreover, the social order becomes possible because people share similar typifications and expectations. There is lot of intersubjectivity also which is involved in our social reality. So what is this intersubjectivity? It is a kind of shared understanding of meanings among individuals. For example, if I tell you that I am wearing a golden color dupatta, so this golden color or dupatta, right, we have a shared meaning with it. So lot of intersubjectivity helps us to understand our social realities. So social reality exists because people interpret situations through common perspectives and mutual expectations also. The social interaction is based on reciprocity. There is exchange of viewpoints and collective knowledge. Moreover, Shutz also emphasizes that reality is neither purely individual nor purely objective. It is socially shared and it is continuously being negotiated and created in our day-to-day interaction. So even when you are listening to my lecture on phenomenology, your reality, my reality, it is being again and again interpreted and it is being negotiated, it is being created. Through interaction, individuals collectively construct and maintain lot of social institutions and social order. So phenomenology, if you try to understand, basically it is a process, it is a phenomenon, like you break the word phenomenon and logi or logos. So how are we studying a particular phenomenon? That is what is the entire focus of phenomenology. So when you study the various sociological perspectives, you might have studied about macro perspective, micro perspective, right? And then in among macro perspective, you might have studied about structural functional perspective, which is being called as functionalism. You might have studied about conflict perspective, especially Karl Marx, who is the most prominent thinker. Symbolic interactionism, which is beautifully contributed by Charles Horton Cooley, George Herbert Mead, Herbert Blumer, and micro perspectives. See, micro, like when you talk about society, in society only large things are not important for us to understand. Our day to day things, our day to day realities have to be understood in smaller interactions which might take place between two individuals. For example, how two people are greeting each other, right? So the way they are greeting, their body languages, their facial expressions, how they are understanding a particular color dress which the other person is wearing, right? For example, if I am going for a condolence and I am wearing a very bright red color attire, then how that will be interpreted. So social realities and understandings are created in our day to day interactions, they are created in our day to day discussions, and that is why as a student of sociology, it becomes very important for us to understand this minor aspects of the social interaction, and that is why phenomenology and ethnomethodology, they have put under the category of micro perspective. So my dear friends, in session 1 we have discussed about phenomenology. Now we will discuss session 2. In session 2 we will continue slightly of more of phenomenology and then talk about ethnomethodology. Thank you very much, my dear learners.